"Dad, you're sitting on a $340,000 asset," my son Derek said, standing in my living room like a realtor pricing inventory. "That's inefficient." I smiled, signed the document on the table in front of me. When my daughter Melissa saw what I'd done, her face went white. What she didn't know was that signature was just the beginning. And by the time they figured it out, everything they'd counted on would belong to someone else. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I'm 72 years old, worked the docks in Baltimore for 47 years, the kind of work that leaves your hands scarred and your back stiff on cold mornings. But it paid for the house, paid for 2 college educations, paid for weddings and down payments and every emergency my kids ever had. My wife Linda died 3 years ago. Cancer, the fast kind. 6 months from diagnosis to me sitting alone in this house, trying to remember how to make coffee for 1 person instead of 2. Derek and Melissa were there for the funeral, both of them. Derek flew in from Atlanta. Melissa drove from across town. They stayed for the service, left before the reception ended. "We need to get back, Dad," Melissa said. Her husband Brad already had his keys out. "The twins have daycare tomorrow." I watched them leave, stood in my own living room surrounded by Linda's friends, her book club, the neighbors who'd brought casseroles. My kids were gone before the coffee got cold. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I'd seen Derek twice, both times when he had business meetings in Baltimore and needed a place to stay. Melissa lived 20 minutes away. I saw her maybe once a month, when she needed something. The pattern was simple. My phone would light up with her name. The conversation always started the same way. "Dad, I need to ask you something. Not how are you, not what have you been doing. Just straight to the request." In January, she needed help with the mortgage. The twins' medical bills had wiped out their savings. Could I transfer $4,200? Just this once. In March, Derek's business opportunity needed capital. His LLC was expanding. $8,500. He'd pay me back by summer. In May, Melissa's car needed a new transmission. $2,800. I transferred the money every time. Never got paid back, never expected to, but I started keeping track. Not in a spreadsheet, not formally, just in my head. The way you count things when you're not sure why you're counting but can't stop. $35,000 for Melissa's down payment on her house, 6 years ago. $28,000 for her wedding. The outdoor venue she'd insisted on. The photographer from New York. $23,000 for Derek's first LLC. The real estate consulting firm that folded after 9 months. Added up. The mortgage help, the car payments, the emergencies that came every other month. $180,000 in 6 years. Not counting the groceries I bought when Melissa forgot her wallet. Not counting the birthday checks. Not counting the week I watched the twins when their daycare had a COVID outbreak and Melissa couldn't miss work. I counted that too. 47 times I'd watched Emma and Tyler in 3 years. Sometimes with an hour's notice. Sometimes overnight when Melissa texted at 6 p.m. that she and Brad needed a date night. Never once did she ask if I had plans. The phone calls came every month. The visits came twice a year, Christmas and Easter. Each time about 90 minutes before Brad said they had somewhere else to be. I'd become a bank. The kind that never got paid back and occasionally got invited to holiday dinners. When the kids remembered. That's when I got the idea. Not revenge, not punishment, just a test. I wanted to know what I actually meant to them. If you took away the money, what was left? So, in October, I started changing things. First, I moved most of my money. Not all of it. Just enough that my checking account showed $1,847 instead of the usual balance. I kept my savings, kept my investments, kept the retirement fund I'd built from 47 years of dock work and overtime, and not buying the new truck when I wanted one. But my checking account, the one tied to Zelle and Venmo and every transfer request, showed almost nothing. Then I waited. Didn't take long. November 2nd, Melissa texted, "Dad, Can you help with the mortgage this month? Brad's commission got delayed. I stared at the message, sitting in my kitchen. The same kitchen where I'd made Linda's coffee every morning for 41 years. Same table where we'd celebrated our 40th anniversary 4 months before the cancer diagnosis. I typed back, "I can't this time." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "What do you mean you can't?" "I don't have it." The phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short, irritated. "Dad, call me back. This is important." I didn't call back. 2 days later, Derek texted. He needed $5,000. His LLC had a licensing fee due, and his capital was tied up in a property deal. "Sorry, son. Money's tight right now." He called immediately. "Dad, what's going on?" "You never say no." "I'm saying no now." "Are you okay? Financially, I mean." "I'm fine. I just can't keep doing this." Silence on the line. Long enough that I thought he'd hung up. "Okay," he said finally. Voice flat. "I'll figure it out." He hung up. I sat there holding the phone. Clock ticking on the wall. Same clock Linda bought at an estate sale 30 years ago. Part of me expected them to call back, to ask if I was okay, to offer help. They didn't. A week went by, then 2. Thanksgiving was coming. Melissa usually hosted. Nothing fancy. Store-bought turkey, disposable plates. But it was tradition. The 4 of us, the twins. Derek, if he flew in. I waited for the invitation. November 18th, it came. A text. Not a call. "Thanksgiving at our place, 3 p.m. Can you bring rolls?" Not, "Are you coming?" Just an assumption that I would. And a request for what to bring. I texted back, "I'll be there." I didn't bring rolls. I brought something else. Thanksgiving Day, I drove to Melissa's house. 23 minutes door to door. Same route I'd driven 47 times to watch the twins. Same route I'd driven when she needed furniture moved, when her sink was leaking, when Brad was out of town and she heard a noise in the attic. I parked on the street, walked up the driveway I'd helped pay for. The house looked good. Fresh paint on the shutters, new landscaping. The kind of touches you can afford when your father pays your mortgage 5 times a year. I rang the doorbell, heard the twins shrieking inside. Emma and Tyler, 5 years old. I'd held them in the hospital the day they were born. Brad opened the door, looked surprised. "Oh, hey Walter, come in." Not warm, just factual. I stepped inside. The house smelled like turkey and something burning. Melissa appeared from the kitchen, hair tied back, wearing an apron I'd never seen. "Dad, you made it." She kissed my cheek, distracted. "Did you bring rolls?" "No." She blinked. "Oh, okay. I think we have some in the freezer." She disappeared back into the kitchen. I stood in the entryway. Same entryway where I'd dropped off groceries dozens of times, where I'd carried in the crib when the twins came home, where I'd let myself in with the spare key when they needed me to wait for the plumber. Derek wasn't there. Hadn't flown in this year. Business was busy, he'd texted. The twins ran past me chasing each other. Didn't stop, didn't say hello. I watched them. Tried to remember the last time we'd had an actual conversation. The kind where they told me about school or their friends or anything beyond "Hi, Grandpa" before running off. Couldn't remember. Dinner was at 3:30. We sat at the table I'd helped assemble from IKEA 4 years ago. Brad carved the turkey. Melissa served sides from Costco containers. The twins ate chicken nuggets. Apparently they didn't like turkey. We ate in near silence. Brad scrolled his phone between bites. Melissa got up 4 times to get things from the kitchen. The twins asked to be excused after 10 minutes. "So, Dad," Brad said, not looking up from his phone. "Melissa mentioned you've been having some money trouble?" I set down my fork. "I didn't say trouble," Melissa said quickly. "I just said Dad couldn't help with the mortgage this month." Right. Brad looked at me for the first time. "Everything okay? Financially?" "I'm managing." "Because," he continued, "we've been thinking. You're in that big house by yourself. 4 bedrooms. That's a lot of space you're not using. I didn't respond. The property's assessed at $340,000, Brad said, like he'd looked it up. That's significant equity just sitting there. Melissa touched his arm. Brad, I'm just saying there are options. Reverse mortgage. Downsizing. We know a realtor. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Mid-30s, wearing a golf shirt with his company logo. The kind of guy who calls his father-in-law by his first name and talks about optimizing assets. That's my home, I said. Right, of course. I just mean financially you're sitting on a $340,000 asset. That's inefficient. The word hung in the air. Inefficient. The house where I'd lived for 43 years, where Linda and I raised 2 kids, where she died holding my hand in our bedroom, where I still set out 2 coffee cups some mornings before remembering. Inefficient. I'm not selling, I said. Brad shrugged. Just something to think about. Melissa changed the subject. Started talking about the twins' gymnastics classes, how expensive they were, how the good programs all had waiting lists. I listened to her talk, watched her serve pie she hadn't made, noticed she never asked how I was doing, what I'd been doing, how I was handling the 3rd Thanksgiving without Linda. We finished dessert by 5:15. Well, Brad said, standing, got an early tea time tomorrow. Melissa walked me to the door. The twins were already in front of the TV. Thanks for coming, Dad. Thanks for having me. Listen, she said, voice low. About the mortgage. I know you said you couldn't help, but it's due Friday. If there's any way, there isn't. Her expression shifted. Not quite annoyance, not quite anger. Something in between. Okay, cool now. I'll figure it out. I drove home in the dark. 23 minutes. Past the houses with lights on, families still gathered, leftovers being packed. I sat in my driveway for a long time. Engine off. Heat fading. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about that word. Inefficient. 3:40 in the morning, I got up, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. I opened my banking app, started scrolling through transfers. Not to count them. I'd already counted them. But to see them. All of them. Chronologically. $4,200 to Melissa. November mortgage, October mortgage, September. $2,800 in May. Car transmission. $850 in January. Emergency. Never specified. I scrolled back. Months became years. $35,000 transfer. June, 6 years ago. Down payment. I remembered that day. Remembered Melissa crying happy tears. Remembered her saying, I couldn't have done this without you, Dad. $28,000 transfer. 7 years ago. Wedding. The outdoor venue. The photographer from New York. The dress that cost as much as my first car. $23,000 transfer. 8 years ago. Derek's LLC. I'll pay you back within a year, I promise. I scrolled further. $6,500. Derek's transmission. $40,100. Melissa's medical bills. $3,200. Derek's security deposit. $2,900. Melissa's credit card. On and on. A hemorrhage of help that had become obligation. That had become expectation. That had become entitlement. I added it up. Used the calculator on my phone. $197,450 in 8 years. Not counting the groceries, the birthday checks, the gas money, the hundreds of small transfers that were too small to notice individually but added up to thousands. Not counting the time. The 47 times I'd dropped everything to watch the twins. The furniture I'd moved, the repairs I'd done. The rides to the airport. Not counting what I'd given up. The vacation Linda wanted to take for our 40th anniversary. We'd postponed it because Melissa needed help with her down payment. Linda died 4 months later. We never took that trip. I sat there in my kitchen at 3:40 in the morning, looking at numbers that added up to almost $200,000. And I thought about Brad's word. Inefficient. like I was a stock that wasn't performing, an asset that needed to be liquidated. The rage started small, just a tightness in my chest, a warmth that spread up my neck. Then it built. I'd given them everything. Not just money, everything, my time, my energy, my grief. I'd lost Linda and buried my pain because my kids needed help, and I was supposed to be strong. I was supposed to be the dad who fixed things, who wrote the checks, who showed up when they called, and they'd taken it, all of it, without question, without gratitude, without ever asking if I was okay, if I needed something, if I was lonely in this big house that Brad thought was inefficient. The sun came up. I didn't move. At 8 a.m. my phone buzzed. Melissa. Dad, did you think about what I asked? The mortgage is due tomorrow. I stared at the message, hands steady. That surprised me. I typed, no. The response came fast. No, you didn't think about it? Or no, you can't help. I can't help. 3 dots. Then, Dad, I really need this. I'm sorry. The dots appeared and disappeared 3 times. Then, okay. That was it, just okay. Not, are you all right? Not, what's going on? Not, do you need anything? Just, okay. Like I was a vending machine that had rejected her dollar. I set down the phone, felt something shift inside me, something that had been holding on finally letting go. That's when I decided. I wasn't going to tell them I had money. I was going to see what they did when they thought I didn't. I wanted to see who they were when I couldn't give them anything. December came. Cold. The kind of Baltimore winter where the wind comes off the harbor and cuts through your coat. I turned down the heat. Not because I had to, because I wanted them to see it, if they visited. They didn't. Christmas was on a Tuesday. Melissa texted December 20th. We're doing Christmas at our place again this year. Can you come around too? No, please. No, we'd love to see you. Just, can you come? Like an appointment. I texted back. I'll be there. I didn't buy presents, not expensive ones, not cheap ones, nothing. I bought cards, the kind from the grocery store, $1 each, wrote their names. Love, Dad. That was it. Christmas Day, I drove the 23 minutes. Same route, same driveway. This time Derek was there. His car in the driveway. Georgia plates. The door opened before I could knock. Melissa, wearing a sweater that probably cost more than my heating bill. Dad, Merry Christmas! She hugged me. Quick, perfunctory. I stepped inside. Derek was on the couch, laptop open. He looked up. Hey, Dad. Son. The twins ran past, didn't stop. There was a tree, big one, professionally decorated, presents underneath, piles of them. We had brunch, catered. Melissa said she'd been too busy to cook. Nobody asked what I'd been doing, how my Christmas Eve was, if I'd gone to church like Linda and I used to. We opened presents at noon. The twins tore through theirs. New tablets, name-brand clothes, toys that cost hundreds. Derek got a watch from Melissa and Brad. Nice one. Melissa got earrings from Derek. Gold. They opened my cards. Derek read his. Set it aside without comment. Melissa looked inside hers, maybe checking for a check. Nothing there. Thanks, Dad, she said, flat. Then they handed me my present. Gift bag, tissue paper, a coffee mug inside. Said, World's Best Dad. From the drugstore. Still had the price sticker. $7.99. I held it. Looked at the words. World's Best Dad. Derek cleared his throat. So, Dad, we wanted to talk to you about something. I set down the mug. Melissa told me about Thanksgiving, what Brad said. About the house. Okay. Look, we're not saying you should sell, but we are worried. You're alone in that big place. You're 72. What if something happens? Like what? Like you fall, or have a medical emergency. There's no one there. I looked at him. My son. The one I'd paid for through college. The one whose LLC I'd funded. The one who'd visited me twice in 3 years. You're right, I said. There's no one there. He missed it. Or ignored it. We think you should consider alternatives. Downsizing. Maybe a senior community. Somewhere with staff. Activities. You mean a retirement home. Not a home. A community. There are nice ones. And you'd free up capital. Could enjoy it. Travel. Relax. Travel, I repeated. Yeah. When's the last time you went anywhere? Linda and I were going to take a trip. For our 40th anniversary. But we postponed it. Melissa needed help with her down payment. The room went quiet. That was 8 years ago, Dad, Melissa said. Linda died 4 months later. We never took the trip. More silence. Brad spoke up. That's exactly what we're talking about. You sacrificed for them. Now it's time to think about yourself. By selling my house, by liquidating an asset that you're not fully utilizing, Brad said, that equity could give you quality of life, experiences you could... I could what? Give it to you? Brad's face went red. That's not what Isn't it? Derek leaned forward. Dad, no one's asking you for money. You asked for $5,000 3 weeks ago. That's different. That was a loan. For business. You never paid back the $23,000 from 8 years ago. Derek's jaw tightened. That business failed. You knew it was a risk. I knew it was a gift. You knew it was a gift. Let's not pretend it was a loan. Melissa touched Derek's arm. Dad, we're not trying to fight. We're just concerned. About me, or about your inheritance? Her face went pale, then red. That's not fair. Isn't it? Be honest, Melissa. When's the last time you asked how I was doing? Not what I could give you, how I was doing. She opened her mouth, closed it. You visited twice last year, I continued. Christmas and Easter, about 90 minutes each time. You called every month, always started the same way. Dad, I need to ask you something. That's not true. It is true. I counted. Jesus, Dad. You're counting visits now? Someone should. Derek stood up. Okay, this is getting out of hand. We came here to have a nice Christmas, and you're turning it into some kind of intervention about how ungrateful we are. I didn't say ungrateful. You implied it. Did I? I stood up too. Let me be clear then. You're right. You're ungrateful. Both of you. The twins had stopped playing. They stared at us from across the room. Melissa's voice dropped to a hiss. Don't do this in front of them. Why not? They should know. They should know that Grandpa gave you $197,000 in 8 years, and that you never once said thank you, never once asked if I needed anything, never once showed up when I was alone after your mother died. We were there for the funeral, Derek said. You left before the reception ended. We had obligations. So did I. I had grief. I had a wife who died. I had an empty house. But you had obligations. Brad stood up. I think you should leave. I looked at him. This man who'd never worked a dock, never come home with his hands bleeding, never spent 47 years building something so his family would have more than he did. This is my daughter's house, I said. I paid for a quarter of it. I'll leave when she asks me to. Melissa stood, shaking. Dad, please go. I looked at her, tried to find the little girl who used to sit on my lap, who used to say, I love you, Daddy, before bed, who used to draw me pictures that I still had in a box in the attic. She was gone. This woman standing here, in her expensive sweater, in her house I'd helped buy, asking me to leave on Christmas because I'd told the truth. She was someone else. I picked up the coffee mug. World's best dad. Looked at it for a long moment. Then I set it on the table. Merry Christmas, I said. I walked out. Nobody followed me. I drove home. 23 minutes. Past houses with lights. Families still celebrating. I sat in my driveway. Same spot as Thanksgiving. Engine off. Cold seeping in. My phone buzzed. Derek. Dad, that was uncalled for. You embarrassed. Everyone. Melissa's crying. The twins are asking questions. I think you need to apologize. I stared at the message. Then I blocked his number. Another buzz. Melissa. I can't believe you did that. On Christmas, in front of my kids. Brad's right. You're having some kind of breakdown. We need to talk about getting you help. I blocked her too. Then I sat there in the quiet, and I started planning. If they thought I was broke, I'd show them broke. If they thought I was losing it, I'd show them exactly how sharp I still was. And if they thought that house, that $340,000 inefficient asset, was going to be their inheritance, they were wrong. Because I was going to make sure of it. I called my lawyer the day after Christmas. His name was Howard. We'd known each other for 30 years. He'd handled Linda's will, handled the estate, checked in on me twice since she died, twice more than my kids. "Walter," he said, "how was your Christmas?" "Educational." He laughed, then stopped. "You're serious?" "I need to change my will." Silence on the line. "Okay," he said carefully. "What kind of changes?" "All of them." We met December 28th, his office downtown, same building where I'd signed the papers when Linda died. Howard had my current will pulled up on his screen. "Right now," he said, "everything's split between Derek and Melissa. The house, the investments, the retirement accounts. About $890,000 total. I want to change it." "To what?" I'd thought about this. In the 3 days since Christmas. Thought about it while sitting in my kitchen, while not answering the calls from Derek and Melissa, while drinking coffee from the mug Linda bought me 15 years ago that said, "Best husband." "How much have I given them?" I asked. "In direct transfers." Howard pulled up another file. He'd helped me organize things after Linda died, had access to my accounts for estate planning. He scrolled, calculated. "In the last 8 years, you've transferred $197,450 to your children, $124,200 to Melissa, $73,250 to Derek." That's what I thought. "You kept track?" I counted everything else. "Why not that?" Howard leaned back. "Walter, what happened?" I told him. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Brad's words, Melissa asking me to leave, Derek telling me to apologize. Howard listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want to give them what they gave me." "Nothing." "You want to disinherit them?" "I want to leave the house to someone who actually cares if I'm alive." "Who?" That's when I told him about Patricia. Patricia lived next door, had lived there for 12 years. She was 70, widowed, retired from teaching. She checked on me, not because she wanted something, just because that's what neighbors do. After Linda died, Patricia brought dinner twice a week for 2 months, lasagna, pot roast, soup, always with enough for leftovers. She invited me to her book club. I didn't go, but she invited me. She called on Linda's birthday, on our anniversary, on holidays, just to see if I was okay. When it snowed, she shoveled my walk. When I was sick with the flu last winter, she brought medicine and tea. I'd tried to pay her, offered. She'd refused. That's what neighbors do, Walter. We look after each other. She'd met Derek and Melissa once. They'd come to pick up the twins after I'd watched them. Patricia had been outside gardening, said hello, introduced herself. Melissa had nodded, kept walking. Derek didn't even acknowledge her. Patricia mentioned it later. Gentle. "Your kids seem busy." "They are," I'd said. "Must be hard. Being alone." I'd almost cried, because it was the first time in a year anyone had acknowledged it. That I was alone. That it was hard. I told Howard all of this. "You want to leave everything to your neighbor?" "Not everything, but the house. Yes." Howard wrote notes. "That's going to create problems. Your kids will contest it." "Let them." "Walter, I need to ask, are you doing this out of spite, or because you genuinely want Patricia to have it?" I thought about that. "Both," I said, "but mostly because she's earned it. She's been more family to me in 3 years than my kids have been in 8. Howard nodded slowly. "Okay, Let's talk about how to make this airtight. We spent 2 hours going through it. The house would go to Patricia. The retirement accounts would be split between a charity Linda had loved, the animal shelter, and a scholarship fund in Linda's name. My kids would get $10,000 each, exactly enough that they couldn't claim they were accidentally excluded. Howard drew up the papers. I signed them January 3rd. Then I went home and waited. Didn't have to wait long. January 8th, my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Mr. Dawson? This is Julie Chen from Adult Protective Services. We received a report of concern regarding your welfare. My chest went cold. What kind of report? I'm not at liberty to say who filed it, but the report states that you may be experiencing cognitive decline and financial vulnerability. We'd like to do a home visit to assess your situation. I sat down. They'd actually done it. My kids had called APS. When would you like to come? I asked. Would tomorrow at 10 a.m. work? That's fine. I hung up, hands shaking. Not from fear, from rage. Cognitive decline, financial vulnerability. They were trying to have me declared incompetent. I called Howard. They reported me to APS. Who did? My kids. Has to be. Howard swore. Okay, don't panic. This is actually good. How is this good? Because we can document that you're completely competent. Get ahead of any challenge to the will. Can you get a cognitive evaluation? How? I'll send you to someone. Neuropsychologist. She'll test you. Memory, reasoning, decision-making. If you pass, it's ironclad proof you knew what you were doing when you changed your will. I went the next day, before the APS visit. The neuropsychologist's name was Dr. Sarah Brennan. Her office was in Towson, 40-minute drive. She tested me for 3 hours. Memory tests, problem-solving, pattern recognition, emotional regulation. I left exhausted. She called that evening. Mr. Dawson, I wanted to let you know your results. You scored in the 94th percentile for your age group. Your cognitive function is excellent, better than most people your age. There's no indication of any decline, impairment, or vulnerability. Can I get that in writing? I'll have a report ready tomorrow. The APS worker came January 9th. Her name was Julie, young, maybe 30, carrying a clipboard. I let her in, showed her around. The kitchen was clean. Heat was on. Fridge was full. She asked questions. How was I managing? Did I need help with anything? Had anyone pressured me regarding my finances or property? My daughter and her husband suggested I sell my house, I said. Does that count? Julie wrote notes. Are you being coerced? No, I declined. They weren't happy about it. I see. And your finances? Are you managing them independently? Yes. Any confusion? Difficulty remembering to pay bills? No, I have autopay set up. Haven't missed a payment in 43 years. She looked around, checked the bathroom, the bedroom, looked at my medications. I had 3. Blood pressure, cholesterol, baby aspirin, all current. Mr. Dawson, I don't see any cause for concern. Your home is safe and well maintained. You're clearly managing independently. I'll close this case. Can I ask who reported me? I can't disclose that, but I can tell you that sometimes family members file reports out of genuine concern. Sometimes for other reasons. In this case, I don't believe the concern was warranted. She left. I called Howard. APS cleared me. Perfect. Send me that report from Dr. Brennan when you get it. We're building a file. For what? For when they contest the will, which they will. And when they do, we'll have documentation that you were competent, not coerced, and that they tried to have you declared otherwise. It won't look good for them. I picked up Dr. Brennan's report January 10th. 14 pages. Detailed. Clear. I sent a copy to Howard. Kept one for myself. Then I waited for the next move. It came January 15th. My phone rang. Melissa. I'd unblocked her. Wanted to see what she'd do. Dad. Melissa. We need to talk. About what? About you. Derek and I are worried. You blocked us. You haven't returned calls. You embarrassed us on Christmas, and now we hear you had APS at your house. You heard that? Interesting. Dad, we're concerned about your judgment. My judgment is fine. APS agreed. So did a neuropsychologist. Silence. You saw a neuropsychologist. Had a full evaluation. Scored 94th percentile. Want to see the report? More silence. Why would you do that? Because someone reported me to APS. Said I was cognitively declining. Thought I should have proof I'm not. Dad, no one's saying you're declining. We're saying you're not thinking clearly. Those are the same thing. They're not. You're acting erratically, cutting off your family, making strange decisions. Like what? Like refusing to help when we need it. Like keeping track of money you gave us. Like accusing us of being ungrateful on Christmas. I didn't accuse you. I stated a fact. You are ungrateful. Her voice went cold. We're trying to help you. By calling APS? By trying to have me declared incompetent? I didn't call APS. Then who did? She didn't answer. Melissa, I've given you $124,000 in 8 years. I watched your kids 47 times, usually with an hour's notice. I helped you buy your house, paid for your wedding, and you visited me twice last year for 90 minutes each. Then your husband called my home inefficient and suggested I sell it. So forgive me if I'm not interested in your help. You're really going to hold that over us? The money you gave? I'm not holding it over you. I'm stating what happened. We never asked for your help. I laughed, bitter. You didn't ask? Melissa, you texted me 37 times last year asking for money. We needed help. And I gave it every time, and you took it. Every time, without a thank you, without asking if I needed anything, without showing up when your mother died. We were at the funeral. You left before it ended. Stop bringing that up. Why? It's true. She was crying now. You're a mean old man. You know that? You're bitter and spiteful, and Mom would be ashamed of you. The words hit like a punch. Your mother, I said slowly, would be ashamed of you. For taking and never giving. For abandoning your father. For calling APS when he stopped being your bank. Go to hell, Dad. She hung up. I sat there, heart pounding, hands shaking. This was my daughter. The one I'd walked down the aisle, the one whose kids I'd held in the hospital, and she'd told me to go to hell. I called Howard. She basically admitted they called APS and told me my dead wife would be ashamed of me. Record everything. If she calls again, document it. Text messages, voicemails, everything. Why? Because they're going to escalate. And when they do, we need proof. He was right. February came. Derek showed up at my door. Didn't call, just appeared. I opened the door. He looked tired, angry. We need to talk. About what? About the fact that you've lost your mind. According to a neuropsychologist, I haven't. You know what I mean. You're cutting us off. You're acting paranoid. You accused us of calling APS. You did call APS. We were worried. You stopped helping Melissa. You blocked us. What were we supposed to think? That I couldn't help anymore? That I'd given enough? Given enough? Dad, we're your family. Then act like it. What does that mean? It means show up when I'm alone. Call without needing something. Say thank you. We do say thank you. When? He opened his mouth, closed it. That's what I thought. Derek's face went red. This is what I'm talking about. You're keeping score. That's not what family does. No. What does family do? Take $73,000 and never pay it back? Visit twice a year? Call APS when the money stops? I didn't take anything. You gave it. Because you asked. So what? That's what parents do. They help their kids. And what do kids do? What? For their parents. What do kids do? Derek stared at me. We offered to help you. By suggesting I sell my house? By calling APS? By trying to have me declared incompetent? No one's trying to do that. Then what was the APS call about? It was a wellness check. It was an attempt to create a paper trail, so you could claim I wasn't competent to manage my own finances, my own property. You're paranoid. I'm informed. There's a difference. Derek stepped closer. Dad, I'm going to say this once. You need help. Professional help. You're isolating yourself. You're pushing away the people who love you. You're acting irrational. I changed my will, I said. He went very still. What? I changed my will. You and Melissa aren't getting the house. His face went white, then red. You can't do that. I can. I did. Who's getting it? Someone who actually acts like family. Patricia? You're leaving our family home to the neighbor? I'm leaving my home to someone who earned it. Derek's hands balled into fists. You spiteful son of a bitch. Careful. No. You know what? Screw careful. You're doing this to punish us, to control us. That's what this has always been about. Control. It's been about seeing who you are when I can't give you anything. And what did you see? Nothing. I saw nothing. No calls, no visits, no concern. Just anger that the ATM stopped working. Derek pointed at me, shaking. You're going to regret this. Am I? We'll contest it. We'll fight it. That house is our inheritance. No, it's my house. I bought it. I maintained it. I lived in it for 43 years, and I'll leave it to whoever I want. You're not competent to make that decision. I have documentation that says I am. Derek's jaw worked. We'll see what a judge says. Yes, we will. He turned, stormed to his car. I watched him drive away. Then I went inside and called Howard. Derek just threatened to contest the will. Good. Let him. We're ready. What do I do now? Now! You live your life. Let them spin. We've got everything documented. You're competent. You're not coerced. You have valid reasons for your decisions. They have a pattern of financial exploitation and familial neglect. If they want to go to court, they'll lose. And if they keep coming, document everything. Don't engage. Let them dig their own grave. I did. March arrived. Spring starting to show. Melissa texted, Dad, we need to talk about this. What you're doing isn't fair. I didn't respond. You're really going to leave everything to a stranger? Someone who's not blood? Still didn't respond. Fine, be that way. But Emma and Tyler ask about you. They don't understand why Grandpa doesn't come around anymore. I stared at that message. Let it sit. Finally typed, tell them Grandpa loves them. But Grandpa's tired of being used. Used? We never used you. $124,000 in 8 years, 47 times babysitting. How many times did you ask how I was doing? No response. An hour later, I can't believe you're throwing this in our faces. I'm not throwing anything. I'm stating facts. We're done. Don't contact me again. I won't. That was the last text from Melissa. Derek stopped trying after March. The house got quiet. But different quiet than before. Before, it was lonely quiet. The kind that made me set out 2 coffee cups by accident. Now it was peaceful quiet. I started going to Patricia's book club. Turned out I liked reading. Linda had tried to get me into it for years. Patricia and I had dinner once a week. She'd cook, I'd bring wine. We'd talk about books, about our dead spouses, about the kids who didn't call. She knew about the will. I'd told her. She'd cried. Walter, I can't accept that. You're not accepting anything yet? I'm still alive. But your kids. My kids made their choice. I'm making mine. She'd hugged me. First real hug I'd had since Linda died. April came, then May. I turned 73. Patricia brought cake. My phone didn't ring. Not from Derek, not from Melissa. I wondered if they'd told the twins. If Emma and Tyler asked about me. If they remembered me. Probably not. I was the old man who used to babysit, who used to give their mom money. Now I was gone. Same as I'd been gone to my kids for years, even when I was standing right there. July 4th, there was a knock on my door. I opened it. Brad, Melissa's husband. Walter, can I come in? Why? I want to talk. No anger, no accusations, just talk. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He sat at my kitchen table, same table where he'd called my house inefficient. Melissa doesn't know I'm here, he said. Okay. Look, I know things got ugly, and I take responsibility for my part. What I said at Thanksgiving was out of line. I didn't respond. But I want you to understand something. We weren't trying to take your house. We were genuinely worried. You're alone. You're getting older. We thought maybe you'd be happier somewhere with people, with activities. I have people. I have activities. Right. Patricia told Melissa about the book club. Did she? Melissa's hurt. She thinks you replaced her. I didn't replace her. She was never here to begin with. Brad nodded slowly. I get that. And you're right. We should have visited more, called more. But life gets busy. Kids, work, everything. It's not an excuse. I'm just explaining. Brad, let me ask you something. Okay. If I hadn't given Melissa money for 8 years, would you still have married her? He blinked. What? If I hadn't paid for the wedding, the down payment, the mortgage help, would you still be with her? That's not fair. Answer the question. Yes, of course. Then why did it matter? Why did my money become part of your life plan? He didn't answer. You called my house inefficient, like it was a stock, an asset, not the place where I raised my kids, where my wife died. You looked at it and saw dollar signs. I was trying to help. No, you were trying to get access. Because if I sold, there'd be money. Money you could use. Money Melissa could inherit. Brad stood. I came here to apologize. To try to fix this. Fix what? I'm happy. Happier than I've been in years. Are you? You're alone. I was alone when you were here. At least now I'm honest about it. He walked to the door. Stopped. For what it's worth, I am sorry. About the way things turned out. So am I. He left. I sat at the table, looked at the chair where he'd sat, and I realized something. I didn't miss them. Derek, Melissa, Brad. The twins I barely knew. I didn't miss them, because you can't miss people who were never really there. August brought heat, the kind that makes Baltimore feel like a swamp. I spent it reading, going to book club, having dinner with Patricia, watching old movies. Howard called. The will's been filed. If they were going to contest, they would have by now. So it's done? It's done. When the time comes, everything goes exactly where you wanted. Thank you, Howard. Walter, for what it's worth, I think you made the right call. I hung up, sat in my chair, Linda's chair across from me, empty. I thought about the last 8 years, the money, the time, the grief I'd buried so I could be strong for kids who didn't need me, who needed my wallet. $197,000. 47 days of babysitting. Countless repairs, errands, emergencies. And what did I get? 2 visits a year, 90 minutes each. Transactional phone calls. A drugstore mug that said "World's Best Dad." The house was quiet, but I wasn't lonely. Because loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being surrounded by people who make you feel alone. And I wasn't that anymore. September came. I planted bulbs with Patricia, tulips. They'd bloom in spring. October. Book club read Steinbeck. I actually liked it. November. Thanksgiving. Patricia invited me over. Her kids were there. 3 of them. They talked to me, asked questions, laughed at my jokes. Real jokes, not bitter observations. After dinner, Patricia's daughter Sarah pulled me aside. Mom talks about you all the time, says you've been a godsend since Dad passed. She's been the same for me. I'm glad. She deserves someone looking out for her. I thought about that. Someone looking out for her. That's what family was supposed to be. Not transactions, not obligations, not "what can you do for me?" Just showing up, being present, giving a damn. December came. Patricia asked if I wanted to do Christmas with her family. I said yes. My phone didn't ring Christmas morning. Didn't bother me. I went to Patricia's, met her kids again, played with her grandchildren, 5-year-old twins, coincidentally, boy and girl. They called me Mr. Walter, asked me to read them a story. I did. Some book about a mouse. They sat on either side of me, quiet, listening. When I finished, the little girl, Emma, same name as my granddaughter, looked up at me. "Will you read another one?" "Sure." She smiled, climbed into my lap. I felt something crack in my chest. This little girl, who barely knew me, who trusted me enough to climb into my lap and ask for another story. When was the last time my Emma did that? Couldn't remember. Patricia's Emma fell asleep during the second book. I carried her to the couch, covered her with a blanket. Patricia watched from the kitchen, smiling. "You're good with kids. Had practice. Your grandkids are lucky. They don't know me. Their loss." I nodded. "Yeah, it is." That night, driving home, I thought about legacy, about what we leave behind. I'd spent 47 years building something, money, property, security. Thought I was building it for my kids. Turns out I was building it for someone else, someone who'd shown up, who'd cared, who'd treated me like family even though we weren't blood. And I was okay with that. Better than okay. January arrived. New Year. I turned 73 and a half. Not that anyone's counting. Patricia threw me a little party. Book club came. 8 people. We had cake. They sang. It was nice. More than nice. It was the first birthday since Linda died that didn't feel empty. My phone sat on the counter, silent. No calls from Derek, no texts from Melissa. I wondered if they thought about me, if they told people their father was alive, or if they'd written me off. The crazy old man who cut them out. Didn't matter. I'd spent 8 years being their ATM, being the dad who fixed things, who wrote checks, who showed up when they called. Now I was being Walter, the guy who reads Steinbeck, who plants tulips, who reads stories to little girls named Emma. The guy who's building a different kind of legacy, not money in a bank account, not property on a deed, but a life that means something, to someone, to people who actually see me. February. The tulips started coming up, early bloomers. Patricia and I sat on her porch, coffee in hand, watching them grow. "You seem different," she said. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you're not carrying something anymore." I thought about that. "I'm not," I said. I put it down. The anger, the obligation, the guilt, the idea that I owed them something because they were my blood. "Do you miss them?" I watched the tulips, green shoots pushing through cold earth. "I miss who I thought they were. But no, I don't miss who they actually are." She nodded, didn't judge. That's the thing about real family. They don't judge. They just sit with you, watch the tulips grow, let you be, Raj. The book club read something about a family falling apart, hit close to home. We discussed it. Everyone shared stories. Parents who disappointed them, kids who left, spouses who weren't who they seemed. I realized something during that discussion. I wasn't alone. Everyone in that room had lost someone, had been hurt, had built something new from the pieces. That's what life was. Building, breaking, building again. I'd built something with Linda, 41 years. Then cancer broke it. I'd built something with my kids, decades of trying. Then they broke it. Now I was building something with Patricia, with book club, with tulips and coffee and stories about mice. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. April brought rain. The tulips bloomed anyway. Red and yellow, bright against the gray. Patricia took pictures, sent them to her kids. Her daughter Sarah texted back, "Beautiful. Tell Mr. Walter they're perfect." Mr. Walter, the respectful stranger who'd become family. Better family than blood ever was. I stood in my kitchen. Same kitchen where Brad had called my house inefficient, where Melissa had asked for mortgage help 40 times, where Derek had suggested I wasn't competent. I looked around. At Linda's cups, at the table I'd built, at the window overlooking the yard where tulips grew. This house, my house, the asset they'd wanted me to liquidate. It wasn't going to them. It was going to someone who'd earned it, who'd shown up, who'd planted bulbs and brought lasagna and read Steinbeck with me. And I wasn't sorry, not even a little bit, because family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up, who stays, who sees you when you're invisible to everyone else. And I'd finally found mine. The phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then did. Mr. Dawson? This is Carla from Memorial Hospital. Your son Derek was in a car accident. He's in surgery now. We found your contact information in his wallet. Everything stopped. Is he okay? He's stable, but he's asking for you. Would you be able to come? I grabbed my keys, drove 40 minutes to the hospital, through traffic, heart pounding, found the surgical waiting room. Melissa was there, crying. Brad beside her. She saw me. Stood. Dad. How is he? Broken leg, concussion. They're setting the bone now. I nodded. Sat down. 3 chairs away. We waited. 2 hours. Finally a doctor came. Family of Derek Dawson? We all stood. He's going to be fine. The surgery went well. He'll need physical therapy, but he'll recover. Relief flooded through me. Can we see him? Once he's out of recovery, maybe an hour. The doctor left. I sat back down. Melissa sat next to me. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. He's my son. I know, but after everything, he's still my son. She nodded, started crying again. I'm sorry, Dad, for all of it, for taking you for granted, for the things I said, for not being there. I looked at her, really looked at her. She looked older, tired, thinner than I remembered. Me too, I said. I don't expect you to forgive me, or change your will, or anything. I just want you to know I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there, waiting to see my son, hoping he'd be okay, and wondering if it was too late for any of it. They let us see Derek at 7 p.m. He was groggy, leg in a cast, pale. Dad, he said when he saw me. Hey, son. You came. Of course I came. His eyes filled. I'm sorry. For everything, you were right. We treated you like an ATM, like you weren't a person, just a resource. Derek, no, let me finish. I've had a lot of time to think. Since Christmas, since you cut us off, and you were right about all of it. I pulled up a chair, sat beside the bed. We took and never gave. Never asked if you were okay. Never showed up after Mom died. We were terrible, and I'm sorry. Melissa stood in the doorway, crying. We both are, she said. I looked at them, my kids, the ones I'd raised, built a life for, given everything to, and I realized something. I still loved them, despite everything, despite the hurt, despite the 8 years of being used. I still loved them. But love isn't enough. Love doesn't fix broken patterns, doesn't erase hurt, doesn't rebuild trust. I accept your apology, I said. Derek's face brightened. But I'm not changing my will. The brightness faded. I understand, he said quietly. Do you? Because I need you to understand why. You don't have to explain. Yes, I do. You called my home inefficient. You called APS to have me declared incompetent. You took $197,000 and never once said thank you. You visited twice a year and made me feel like a burden, like an obligation. Derek looked away. I needed family. After your mother died, I needed someone to show up, to care, and you didn't. You weren't there, but Patricia was. So that's it, Melissa said. We say sorry and you still punish us? It's not punishment, it's consequence. You made choices, I'm making mine. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Melissa. You taught me that. She turned, left the room. Brad followed her. Derek and I sat in silence. I deserve this, he said finally. Maybe, maybe not. but it's done. Will you still visit, even though I'm not getting the house? I thought about that. Yes, I said, because you're my son, and I love you, but things are different now. I know. I'm not your bank anymore. I'm not your emergency fund. I'm not your safety net. I know. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be real, not transactional. Real. He nodded. I want that. Then prove it. Not with words, with actions. Show up, call, be present, be family. I will, I promise. I stood. We'll see. I left him there, drove home in the dark, got home at 9, exhausted. Patricia's light was on. She saw me pull up, came over. Where were you? I was worried. I told her about Derek, the accident, the apology. She listened, held my hand. What are you going to do? Give them a chance, but I'm not changing the will. Are you sure? I'm sure. They had 8 years to be family. You had 3. You earned it. She cried, hugged me. I don't deserve your house. Yeah, you do. We stood on my porch. 2 old people, both widowed, both alone, both building something new. Thank you, Walter. For what? For seeing me, for letting me be family. I hugged her back. Thank you for showing up. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.